Okay, so we're recording, and it's Dwayne and I here. We're going through the Penntek presentation. Going to take a stroll through that and give Dwayne a little bit exposure to that. As we kind of talked about, I want to set a fair ground rule here. As we go through this, we're going through this to the fullest extent. So we're pretty much covering as much information as you could possibly cover on each slide. Now, as you get into the home, as you get into a real live appointment situation, it's not going to be that way, because you're going to know who you're sitting across from. You're going to know what's important to them. You're going to know, you know, uh, what their hot buttons are, so to speak. So you may not need to give the full breadth of, information on every single slide. So I want to, again, just set the ground rule for that. So you understand that, the expectation is not that you go in on every appointment and do this to this extent. We're doing a as much as you could possibly cover kind of approach, and it's going to be a little bit longer than it will typically take you in the home. So again, just want to set that expectation. But this is the landing page, like we had talked about earlier in training. Both commitment to trust and commitment to resolution are going to be within this presentation, and we'll make sure that we touch on that and point that out so you know exactly where that's happening. But this is the landing page, so we have our iPad on. An important part of this process is the segue to the presentation, right? We there's a couple things we don't want to do. We don't want to just turn it around and start going to town on them, right? Kind of like almost catching them off guard, like, whoa, where did this come from? What are we doing? Right? So we want to, and conversely, we also don't want to be like, now, I have some information. I have this presentation. I have this sales presentation I need to share with you. There's a lot of information that I need to cover with you, so you can understand, why we're better and why we're this and why you need to use us. That's just going to turn people off, right? So we got to find something in the middle that really is compelling them to want to give us a listen, to what we're about to do, and also not catch them off guard, like, oh God, here comes the sales pitch. I'm going to check out and tune out for, until this guy shuts his mouth and stops talking. So we want to set this up in a way, and again, we're coming to this basically right after we're done with action. We're going to suggest, hey, can we go somewhere where you're comfortable so we can go through some information that I have to share with you. Sometimes that might be in the garage. Sometimes they'll offer for you to come in. Ideally, the main point is where it can be comfortable, where they're comfortable, and there's as few distractions as possible. So that's the idea. And then we go and we sit down wherever that may happen to be. And then we want to, kind of preface this a little bit, say, hey, Dwayne, we've been doing this 32 years. And in our 32 years, we've learned a lot. We've had a lot of success. We've had some failure. But what we're going to do right now is try to leverage all of that experience for your benefit. Okay. So we're going to take all of our success and all of our failures and kind of jumble it all together and share that with you in order to, hopefully put you in a position to make a great decision for this project in your home. Does that sound good?
It does.
So that's our segue, where it's kind of compelling, like, wow, 32 years of experience, successes, failures. Okay. You're going to leverage all that for my benefit. Well, maybe I should listen. Right? This isn't sales pitch. We don't say presentation. We don't say sales book or sales pitch or anything to that effect. I just have some information I have to share with you to, hopefully that you can leverage for, to put yourself in a, great position to make a great decision. So that's what we do. And then we jump right into it. At that point, while you're saying your little segue, it's on this landing page that we're looking at right now. And then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into company story. So Dwayne, we've been doing this for 32 years. Hold on. I keep getting all these notifications. I got to turn my notifications off or it's going to drive me up a wall. Where are you? notifications. Ay. Oh, there we go. 8 to 3. What time is it? Okay. All right. So I just turned those off. So first thing we're going to do is come to the company story, and we're going to just jump right into it. You know, Dwayne, we've been doing this for 32 years. Prior to 1989, we were Southwest Remodelers. And back then, you know, I mean, we really did everything, and we were kind of mediocre at everything. We didn't do any one thing or any group of things, you know, maybe 2, 3, 4 things. We didn't do anything exceptionally. We just did everything kind of mediocre, to be honest. So Scott Barr was an employee. He was a project manager for Southwest Remodelers. And he had a, you know, he's always been a visionary kind of guy. You know, and he got an investor together. And in 1989, he bought the company and said, you know what, we're gonna blaze a new trail here. We're gonna do something that's never been done before in this industry. And you know, he would tell you if he was sitting right here, he doesn't have a passion for home improvement. He has a passion for connecting people and ideas. And his idea as a visionary, you know, as a thought leader, was really to say, how do we create something where we can remove all the problems of home improvement and give people a better experience? And that became his passion, was how do we do that? And the first thing he started to do was to bring great like-minded people into the organization in every facet of the business. You know, installation, accounting, our project management team, our design consultant team. He started to bring people into the fold of the company that really had a strong desire, like a passionate desire to do things differently than they'd been done up until this point. So that's really, you know, and really that is a, you know, those people were people that got up, you know, picked their head up off the pillow in the morning with an intense desire to do something different than what was being done in this industry. And that was really his focus, was providing something that nobody had ever thought to do before in this industry. And we did that by providing an experience where people felt taken care of. They felt valued. They felt like their money, their project, their home was important to somebody. And so it wasn't really you know, this crazy concept, but it was a crazy concept that had never been thought of in this industry before. And that's really how we've sustained for 32 years doing this, is by putting the client and the client's needs first, and really just operating from a level of compassion that's, you know, that's very uncommon in this industry. And it's, you know, it really is the driving force behind what we do and how we do it on a day-to-day basis. So that's a little bit about the company. You know, in our 32 years of doing business, we've learned basically 4 things, which doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot, but they're 4 really, really fundamental things that we have used to gauge our every interaction with our clients. We like to refer to them as our 4 C's. So the first of those 4 C's is communication. So what we promise every single one of our clients is that we're going to communicate accurately and often. And kind of like we did just a little bit ago, remember I told you we were going to do something weird and something that you probably never done before? And we did that little, we call it our consultation form. That was our first attempt at communication, because I know if I don't understand your expectations and I don't understand what's important to you as a prospective client of our company, we're getting off on the wrong foot entirely. So that's just one example of communication. And again, our communication doesn't stop throughout the entire experience that our clients have with us. And, you know, we found that one little thing, just that simple thing of keeping in regular communication with somebody, can make all the other problems in this industry almost just shed away. It's amazing. Because if you're being updated, if you feel like we haven't forgotten about you, there's not that breach of trust that commonly happens in the contractor homeowner relationship. So we communicate to an exceptional degree to make sure our clients never feel like they're being left to their own devices or they're just kind of flailing around in the atmosphere somewhere. So that's our first C. Our second C is cleanliness. We realize, hey, this is a job site, but it's also your home. So we know that cleanliness is important to pretty much every single one of the clients that we've worked for in our 32 years. So we make a promise to you to not just clean up at the end, but we clean up as we go. That means nothing's left in your yard. If it's a multi-day project, we don't have junk and trash and, piles of just junk and everything everywhere. We clean up at the end of the day. We come back, we take stuff out, and we do it all over again. So that's our commitment to you with cleanliness. The third thing, and probably honestly, if I'm being honest, is probably the most significant to me, is compassion. And some people say, you say what? Compassion, what does that have to do with home improvement? For us, it has a whole lot to do. What that means to us is that basically we're going to take care of you and treat you, better than you hope to be treated throughout this entire experience. And that takes effort. We have dedicated people on our team that you'll see here in just a little bit, where their sole purpose is to provide compassion and communication to every single one of our clients. So it's a big deal. And when we receive a deposit from a new client, that new client becomes our new boss. We have to do everything we can within our power to make sure that people, that person or those people, their home, their money feels respected and they feel like they matter. And that's what compassion means to us. And the last of the C's is craftsmanship. It goes without saying that it really doesn't matter if your new flooring is going to cost $500, $1,200, or $6,200. If it's not put down by people that know what they're doing, that know the limitations of the product that they're installing, it's not going to work. It does not matter at all how good the product is if the people putting it down or installing it don't know what they're doing and don't know how to use the product. So for us, craftsmanship is paramount. It's the reason we have the reputation that we do. It's the reason that we can provide our clients with 5-star experiences, is because we hire exceptionally skilled people at every one of our scopes of work. So do you have any questions about those 4 C's or how that might relate to your experience, as a prospective client?
Not at all. I think you've covered it very clearly, Ryan. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. So there's, the last thing we'll talk about here is Scott's promise. And there's a couple different, I think 10, 12 bullet points on this sheet. I'm not going to read them all. You can, if you'd like. I certainly don't want to prevent you from doing that. My favorite, though, is probably this one right in the middle at the top. It says, we strive to resolve any issue that may arise in such a way that you only remember how well it was resolved. I mean, let's face it, I've been doing this 11 years now. Home improvement is not an exact science. It's many times we live in the gray. It's rarely black and white. So this is a big thing. I've been doing this 11 years. I have thousands upon thousands of clients. It matters that every one of those people that has given me their trust and confidence, I know that this is going to happen. Even if something goes wrong during the course of their project or goes as unplanned, as wasn't planned, I know that we're going to take care of it so well that they're only going to remember the resolution, not the problem. So that's significant to me. And it's significant to the thousands and thousands of people I've helped out, knowing that my word is going to be held strong if something does go sideways in a project. So any questions about that again, or how that matters?
No, I think you were very thorough, and I feel a lot of confidence in your product, in your service, and your product now based on your explanation. It just thank you. No, none at all.
Awesome, great news. So next thing we're going to look at is, have you ever heard the whole thing? I have to get 3 quotes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you may be getting 3 quotes. So I don't want to disrupt or derail you too much, but I do want to share a little bit of insight into this with you. First of all, it's 1970s technology. I can't think of too many things from the 1970s that we still use today, right? Telephones aren't the same, TVs aren't the same, computers aren't the same. It's because things evolve, right? So the whole I have to get three quotes. It was really developed in more of the industrial space and procurement. If you had a company making a $1 million purchase, yeah, they're going to look at some options, right? That's just the way it was. You didn't have the internet, you didn't have social media, you didn't have review sites like Amazon. But the problem with that kind of technology or that kind of thinking, that methodology, if you want to call it that, is okay, great. I have three quotes because I'm supposed to get three quotes. Now what the heck do I do? Right? You kind of left at a loss. It really doesn't, yeah, you have to get three quotes, but what do you do then? So the old school thinking is, well, shoot, I'm a smart shopper. I'm going to take the lowest quote. Well, we know there's 10.7 million people that have complained on Better Business Bureau that took the lowest quote and got exactly what they paid for. So that technology is gone. That's as antiquated as the whole I have to get three quotes philosophy to start with. Right. The modified or updated concept around I have to get three quotes is, well, I'm educated, I'm smart. I'm not like the old school people that just took the lowest quote. I'm going to take the lowest quote, I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to take the highest quote and I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to take the one right in the middle. Well, okay, maybe it's a little bit better than taking the lowest quote, but you're still basing your entire decision on nothing more than price, right? That's not a good way to do things. So that's the problem that exists with this whole, 1970s concept of, got to get three quotes, got to get three quotes. The thing is with today, rapid evolution has taken place. Amazon, Nextdoor, Angie's List, Google, those places, those review sites exist specifically because we've realized as a culture that there's significant value in leveraging other people's experiences. Right? So if you've gone out and, bought a car, guess what? Now I want to know what you have to say about it. Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you like the way that it worked? Did you not like the way? Did you like this color over that color? And I'm going to find some feedback from the person that liked the same color that I did, so I can see how they really enjoyed it. Think about how you shop on Amazon. You don't just look for the cheapest or the most expensive or the product right in the middle. You go right to the reviews, right? If there's only one review and it's 2 stars, guess what? You probably aren't going to look at that product. So these review sites and these places where we go to do a large amount of our transactions as consumers, they've radically changed how they do business because of that sole fact is that there is significant value in leveraging other people's experience for our benefit. And with the internet nowadays, with Google, you don't have to get three quotes. We're too busy these days to sit down and, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours with every guy and I'm going to love every minute of it. I'm going to love these 6 hours of my life that I'm wasting. Now you go on Google and see what thousands of people had to say about XYZ company or XYZ product, and you make the decision confidently. You don't need to shop around. So this is something that has really caught us, by surprise, is how radically this industry has evolved into what it is today. Because consistently and increasingly, we're seeing more and more people that are not getting three quotes. They're going to the internet and they're calling out the one company that they want to do the job. That's the way this industry is going. So we just thought it, is important to share. You don't have to be caught up or convinced that three quotes is a solution. It's really choose the best contractor at the best value and save your precious time and hard-earned money. That's what it all comes down to. Any questions or comments on that?
No, sir. No.
Okay. So we're not naive, to know this is a job interview of sorts. You don't show up to any job interview, hopefully, without a resume. So what we're going to look at real quickly here it's our resume. This is an example of the work that we provide in our industry. Now, this first one from James Hardy, I know we're not talking about siding, but this does, it's significant because it speaks to the consistency of the quality of our work across all of our products. So with James Hardy for 4 years in a row now, we've been named one of the top 10 contractors in the entire country. With Angie's List, we've received their Super Service Award for 13 years in a row. Now, going a little bit broader, Remodeling Magazine puts out every year a list of top 500 contractors in the entire country. We've been on this list since the early 90s, but the last 4 years, we've been named as the #1 remodeler in all of San Antonio, according to this national publication. So again, that's not just San Antonians speaking, that's industry experts from across the country, weighing in on that decision. Now, the one that's probably most significant to me is this next one we're going to look at. It's a review company. It's called Guild Quality. They're nationally renowned for being the experts in getting homeowner satisfaction reports from homeowners that have had home improvement projects accomplished. So that's all Guild Quality does, and they do it very well. Like I said, they're the leaders in the industry. We've surveyed every single one of our clients. You'll get a survey for our time together here today, and then you would get another survey at the completion of your project if you chose to work with us. But what we found out from these surveys, and if you know anything about surveys, some people do because they use them for their own work, but we have an 88% response rate. For surveys, that's ridiculous. That's off the charts. Usually, maybe a 30, maybe 40% response rate, but we have an 88% response rate from our clients. That says something about how anxious they are to tell somebody about the quality of work they had done. So out of every one of our clients surveyed, we have an average of 98.7% approval rating. That's been high enough and exceptional as compared to industry standards to give us the recognition of Guildmaster with distinction. And we've won that 13 years in a row. And that says basically, based on that 98.7%, we're in the top 3% of all contractors in this country. So it's pretty significant. It takes day in and day out, dedicated attention to making sure our clients have a 5-star experience, no matter how big, no matter how small, no matter where their project is or where their house is located. We provide an exceptional experience time and time again. And just recently, kind of taking that down a little bit further, not just in the top 3%, but we've been named one of the top 10 remodeling firms in the entire country since 2015, based on that 98.7% approval rating. So let me ask you, based on that kind of resume, how do you feel about potentially falling into one of those people that have had a 98.7% experience with us?
Well, first, that's very impressive.
Thank you.
And
that.
that just creates a very high confidence level for myself to be one of those people. So it erased a lot of doubt in my mind of moving forward, Ryan. That's an impressive history right there.
Well, I appreciate that. And, I hope you understand my intention here. It's not to be boastful or bragging, but like I said, we would be foolish if we showed up to a job interview without a resume. You'd probably disqualify us at the door. So it is necessary that I share this with you and give you a little peek behind the curtain as far as, what we've been known for in this industry.
There's a difference between being boastful and being honest about your goals and about your accomplishments. And I think yours was the latter. So I appreciate that.
Well, good. I'm glad you see it that way. Okay, so we'll move right on. As we talked about, we have over 20,000 clients. I think actually now we're approaching about 22,000 clients that we've accomplished projects for. As we just looked at, 98.7% all-time approval rating. Also, and this kind of ties into what we talked about with the 3 quotes, what we found out is that out of the people that have chosen to become clients of ours, 80% of those people chose to work with us during their initial appointment. So that supported, when we started doing some research and digging up some facts on this, that supported what we talked about just a couple minutes ago. People aren't getting 3 quotes anymore. It's like, I'm going to research the heck out of this. I don't want to spend 3 evenings meeting random strangers in my house. I want to do a bunch of work while I'm at work or during the day. I can Google, I can look on the internet, and I'm going to call out the one company that I actually want to work with. And that's really what supported, the shift that we're seeing in this industry. Is there's still people that do it, don't get me wrong, and it's nobody's fault, but the majority of people are switching to, hey, I'm going to do my research, and before you even come out here, I'm going to know everything there is to know about you. And if you don't if you don't disrupt my trust or something too aggressively, I'm probably going to do business with you because I've picked you as the one I want to work with. So it's interesting. All of these websites, Facebook, Guild Quality, Yelp, House, Home Advisor, Google, if we go to any one of these, and I can't do it on screen record, I know this just from other things. Do you see, Dwayne, and we're kind of breaking role play here for a second. Do you see how each one in the bottom left right corner has a little arrow, a blue arrow?
I do.
All of these, I built these to all be hyperlinks. So if I click on Google right now, it's going to take me to our Google landing page, and it's going to show me, as of right now, 3/26 on Thursday, what our Google reviews are.
Gotcha.
And this is super valid because if you heard about us through Google, I'm going to go to Google. If you heard about us through Facebook, I'm going to go to Facebook and, hey, Dwayne, when you looked us up on Facebook, is this the number of reviews and ratings you saw? And they're going to say, oh yeah, if it was recent. If not, they're going to say, oh no, that's more than when I looked at it. Well, yeah, you looked at it, a week and a half ago when you set the appointment, correct? So what it does, it adds validity to everything I'm sharing with them. And it confirms if they didn't see it. God, look at it on Google. We have almost 700 reviews and it's 4.9 stars. And this is just for your information. I tell people this. Yeah, it was a pretty cool thing for us. It was towards the end of last year. We were recognized as the home improvement in San Antonio with the most ratings, meaning quantity, and the highest star rating of any other remodeling firm in San Antonio.
Wow.
That's a true story.
Wow.
We were recognized with that.
Wow.
So what you do is find if they found about us on any one of these, confirm it. And then I always go to Guild Quality because we have like 2,200 ratings on Guild Quality and it's like a 4.9 stars, same as Google. So, nice. So if they didn't hear, oh, I don't know, my neighbor told me about you. Okay, cool. Well, do you use Google for anything? It's like, hello, do you live under a rock?
Yeah, that's
so you're
a pretty safe bet.
Trust with Google, and then go to Google and say, okay, pull up, all you have to do is hit on this button on your iPad and it goes right to our landing page on Google.
Very nice.
So I talk about that, talk about the reviews, the ratings, the fact that we're the most highly reviewed and highly rated home improvement company, not just window siding doors, home improvement company in San Antonio. And then I get out of that and then I go back to Guild Quality and show them that. There's 4 or 5 bar graphs right at the top of the page with Guild Quality. I show them those because they coincide with our 4 C's. Okay. And then I'm done. I just can't do that right now because then I'll lose all the recording and it stops and it shuts off and it's a nightmare.
No, that makes sense, but it's good to know. And I can see where that'd be a very helpful tool.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we get back to this, once I'm done showing them Guild Quality and we've had a little, a little dialogue on that, I get back here and this is where we ask our commitment to trust. Okay.
Right.
So then that's when we're saying, hey, Dwayne, let me ask you, based on all that we just looked at, all that our clients have had to say over the last 32 years, our reputation in the community, everything that we heard talked about here just recently. Do you feel that we can accomplish this project to your 100% complete satisfaction?
Well, absolutely. I mean, based on your reviews here alone, apparently if that many people have been that satisfied, I don't see how I wouldn't be.
Yeah. Good. If nothing else, I'm glad you feel that way. And at least there's a company like this in existence that, that you are able to work with. So even if we don't end up getting together on this project. Great. So we're going to move right on. There's, one of the ways that we really differ from a lot of other companies is we have an infrastructure that's set up to have our clients have an exceptional experience. Most companies, they don't make the investment or they don't have the wherewithal to have an infrastructure or a highway for clients to travel down to get from point A to point B, which means all along the way, there's diversions, there's traffic accidents, the paperwork gets lost, the order gets input incorrectly, and it's a nightmare. So we have a very well-oiled machine to get our clients from point A to point B with as little headache and heartache as possible. Okay. One of the ways we do that is by staffing. So we have a well-orchestrated, process. We have, as you can see here, Chris, who is our Penntek project manager. He makes all the initial contact within 24 hours of a new project being started, meaning being sold. He's calling the client, welcoming them to the Southwest Exteriors family.
Yeah.
And setting a guideline for installation dates. From there, Michelle Hodgkiss, remember I tell you there's people that we employ whose sole responsibility is to make sure our clients have a great experience. Mm-hmm. That's Michelle. She is called our client experience coordinator.
Great.
So she's constantly and continually updating clients on weather, on any kind of delays with product, any kind of delays with installation or chances to move up an installation date. That's her responsibility. And then we also have Anna, who is our installation department administrator. So again, she's somebody in the background. You'll never meet Anna. You may talk to Michelle. You most definitely will talk to Chris. But Anna's in the background as a full-time employee, making sure that everything is going smoothly, making sure installers are taken care of and happy. So there's no delays, no dysfunction with your project. Any questions about that or how that translates to our clients having a great experience?
No questions, but it definitely backs up how your clients can have a great experience. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Without them, it's impossible for one person to oversee and successfully, transport somebody through the sales cycle. Mm-hmm. With the amount of clients and with the amount of volume we do. There's no way that that's feasible. Something has to give. And with only one person, the thing that gives is the client experience.
Exactly.
So now that we've gone through that, and hopefully you have a good understanding a little bit more of who we are and what we do, we're going to take a look at the product itself. Okay. So there are many things about this product that sets it apart and differentiates it from other common products in the industry. So we're just going to spend a couple quick minutes talking about what some of those differences are, so you're educated as to, if it's something you want to use or not. Okay. So polyurea, a common floor coating that we hear a lot of people have put down or thinking about putting down. It's called epoxy. There's epoxy everything, so epoxy is not unique to garage floor coating. There's epoxies for everything. But how those things differ are significant to the clients that use them. So with our polyurea Penntek product, we have a 1-day installation versus 3+ days for epoxy. That may seem like not much, but that's 1 day that your stuff has to be out of your garage instead of 3, 4, maybe 5 days with epoxy while it dries. Mm-hmm. With this product, your stuff is out and it's back in within 24 hours. The polyurea material is also 98% more flexible than epoxy, which is significant because we have all kinds of craziness with the ground here, right? It gets dry, it moves. It gets wet, it moves. That's why I have so many foundation problems here in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. So the flexibility of the product is significant specifically to where we're located. The polyurea is also 4 times stronger than the epoxy. We can also achieve 2 times better adhesion with the polyurea than we can with the epoxy product. And most importantly to the end user, which is potentially you, with this product, you're walking on it within 4 hours, and you're able to drive on it and bring in your heavy toolboxes or workbenches or anything. You can bring all that in the garage within 24 hours. Okay, any questions on that?
Not at all. Those last two are huge, though.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it from a convenience factor,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's significant.
it is.
So a couple more differences. Epoxy never fully cures like polyurea. Again, epoxy is no different than painting the wall inside your house. It's a topically applied product, just like paint, right? You don't go to paint your walls and you start scraping off the sheetrock, right? You paint
Mhm.
on top of the sheetrock. It's the same thing with epoxy. You don't really do anything but maybe acid wash or maybe etch the concrete. You don't get any of the concrete away. You just put the epoxy on top of whatever's there currently. Epoxy chips and flakes in just a couple of years. This picture that you see there, that's from a real client that we saw.
Hmm.
And that was about a 4 or 5 year surface before it did this. Epoxy doesn't flex, as we talked about with the flexibility with concrete like the polyurea can. And there's absolutely no epoxy that's UV stable like polyurea. So because of the chemicals in the epoxy, its tendency is to yellow when it's exposed to UV light. Okay, so anytime you have your garage door open, anytime that sun's maybe even coming through a garage window,
Mhm.
wherever it's hitting that floor, it's going to turn yellow.
Hmm.
And it's not going to take probably more than a year or two, just because of the chemicals and the adhesives in the epoxy material. Okay. And this, again, these are real life pictures. These are epoxy coatings, some that the clients put down themselves, some that they had companies do. But you really, it begs the question, is cheaper really worth what you have to put up with getting a cheaper product?
Right.
This floor was about 3 years old, and you can see clearly those tires, you drive 40 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, who cares when it's 105 out? That asphalt is blazing. You come home, you park in your garage, those tires are smoking hot, and they just sit on there on that paint. Well, guess what you're taking with you when you leave in the morning?
Mhm.
You're taking some of that floor coating right with you to work.
Right.
This is another problem. Obviously, moisture, obviously concrete has a high moisture content, right? Especially when it's new. Newer the concrete, the more moisture it's going to have. So as you can see here, this is an epoxy coating with these like little blisters in it. Well, that's because the moisture has come to the surface, and because the epoxy is just painted on, there's these little blisters like you'd almost get under your skin. There's these little blisters in the epoxy coating. That's why we do the moisture test, that when we were first in your garage, and I told you I'm going to do a moisture test and a hardness test. That's why we do a moisture test, is to prevent any kind of issue with the floor. This is another one, same thing, kind of floor, 4 years old, and it's already showing signs of failure. This is pretty cool here. So this test was done on, with this little machine, this little tool. This applies pressure on the floor in a square inch. Okay, that little thing on top, you twist that, and it applies the pressure in that inch spot.
Mhm.
Okay.
I can see that.
So what happened is they found with the Penntek material, it withstood up to 650 pounds per square inch. And then
Mhm.
when the material failed, it brought some of the aggregate concrete up with it.
Hmm. Wow.
So there's nothing, that bonds to the concrete like polyurea. And the reasoning is because it's not just a painted on product, it actually roots in the moisture of the concrete, which is what we're going to look at here in just a second is so significant. We don't just acid wash or etch your surface. We use a big 650-pound machine that actually scrapes off the top coating on that concrete. So when we're done with that scraping process, you're down to a newer garage floor than you had than when you built the house. And because we do that and get it down to a barest form, that polyurea can actually send out roots and bonds to the moisture in the concrete. That's why it can withstand up to 650 pounds per square inch when epoxy is a fraction of that. I think it's like 200 and something. So any questions about that or how that would lead to the longevity of the product?
No, Ron, you explained that very thoroughly and it makes perfect sense.
Good. Okay, so now this is, and kind of off role play here for a second. If somebody has significant pitting or cracks in their garage, you're going to talk this up like crazy, right? Sure. If they don't, you're going to say, hey, thankfully, Dwayne, you don't have any of these cracks or pitting. So we don't need to really worry about this, but this is so awesome for the people that are in a little bit of a troubled state with the quality of their garage floor. Mm-hmm. This product prevents them from having to have a mason out and pay thousands and thousands of extra dollars. We are able to fill cracks and pitting with this material, and it's done in 15 minutes. We can keep going with the project.
You're more or less repairing and refinishing, not
Correct.
Just one, you're doing both. Yeah.
Yep. And if you do have cracks and pitting, Dwayne, remember I saw when we were out there measuring your garage, I said there was about 65 feet, linear feet of cracking that was going to have to be repaired.
Right.
So without this material, what you'd have to do is you'd have to call a mason or a concrete guy, and you'd have to have him come and float, basically put a new top surface on the entire floor, which is pretty sketchy because getting that to adhere properly and not have it move around or crack is going to be a challenge. So what this does is it saves you the thousands of dollars. It saves you from making another appointment and finding another contractor. Our guys can use this material. It's self-leveling, and they can fill the cracks and pitting on site. Best of all, it's going to set up and get hardened within 15 minutes.
Wow.
So that means while we're letting this dry, we can be off doing some other area of the floor. So there's no disruption to that 24 hours that we promised you as far as an installation time.
That's impressive.
Does that make sense?
It does.
Good.
Yep.
So this is cool. This is how, and let me try this. I don't know how this is going to go, but yeah, it looks a little funny because the zoom box over here to the right. So this is that big old 650-pound machine. See these hoses that are hooked up to it? Right. That's sucking up about 95% of the dust. So it's a super messy process, as you can imagine, because anytime you're grinding down anything, you're creating a terrible amount of dust everywhere.
Sure.
That's why we have these vacuum hoses that are trying to suck that stuff up before it even goes airborne. So we use one of these big old machines to profile the floor. You can see on the verticals in the back of the picture, we have to use a little hand grinder to get up those verticals. That's hands and knees. Every square inch of that we're grinding with a hand grinder. Okay. Any questions on that step?
No, not at all.
Good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply the polyurea. And to do that, we use rollers, we use squeegees on any of the vertical areas. We got to get down on our hands and knees and do exactly what you're seeing being done in this picture right now. But that polyurea has to go on everywhere that the flooring is going to go. Next thing we do is we're ready to put down that acrylic chip that you chose. So those they get put down to rejection. What that means is there is absolutely no bare spot on the floor. We put those down on the horizontal and the vertical areas. They do provide some of that non-slip surface, kind of like the samples we looked at, how it felt textured.
Right.
That's exactly how your garage floor is going to feel when it's all done. And as we talked about, unlike the epoxy, this product is UV stable. So you can leave your garage door open. We can do it on pool decks, on patios, on walkways, because the sun isn't going to disrupt the coloring. It's warranted for life in terms of coloration and color retention.
Wow.
So after we're done with that, then we got to take this vacuum with a scraper head attached to it, and we got to scrape every single inch of this floor. While we're doing that and scraping it, it's also removing some of the excess chip. And there are some places where we even have to get down on hands and knees and cut, acrylic pieces down with the razor blade because maybe they're sticking straight up. So we get down on hands and knees and we cut those with the razor blade to make sure that you don't run the risk of cutting yourself on them. Okay, now we're ready for the fun part. So this is where we start putting down the polyaspartic. And this is where, the floor, man, it just starts to come to life. It gets a sheen to it. Look at that.
That's beautiful.
That's where it really starts to get exciting. Like, wow, this is transformed. So again, that gets put down everywhere with squeegees, rollers, and small hand brushes. But it is UV stable. It's non-yellowing. It's 100% antibacterial and antimicrobial. And it's rust, chemical, and abrasion resistant. But this is what we hear from clients all the time. This is the most fun part of the entire experience because it really does. It starts to look absolutely amazing.
That's when it really transforms into something that's really beautiful and durable. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, and then we will look at the warranty next. And this is the actual warranty that you'll get a copy of upon completion of your project. But as you can see in number 1 there, we warranty that our Penntek industrial coating product will not yellow or fade due to UV rays for a lifetime of the original purchaser and will not chip, peel, separate, or delaminate from its properly installed and prepared vertical or horizontal, interior or exterior surface for 15 years after installation. Going down to number 2, Penntek industrial coatings warrants that all PIC, which is Penntek industrial coatings products will be free from defects under these conditions and will perform without failure for 15 years. So again, if you could stack that up to a common epoxy warranty, you can't even compare the two. Any questions on the warranty from Penntek?
No, I honestly don't think so. And out of character here, I'm saying I can't read it all.
Yeah.
Based on, but what you described, no questions at all.
And on your iPad, just for integrity's sake, if you want to zoom it in, you can zoom it in so they can see you're not reading some phony something.
Sure. And that's 15 years on everything. But I think you said earlier the color, which is from yellowing or being damaged by the sun is lifetime. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, the first line of bullet 1.
Right.
Will not yellow or fade due to UV rays for a lifetime of the original purchaser.
Okay.
15
years would be on what? Chipping or
peeling, chipping, separating, delaminating.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Dwayne, we're so confident in the product. We're so confident in the quality of our installers and our craftsmanship that we can kind of piggyback on top of that warranty and offer you a warranty unlike any other in the industry. So this warranty is called our Best by Southwest warranty. And it's basically saying that no matter what we did or how we did it, we're standing behind you and that product on your garage floor for as long as you're in the house. So this is really our commitment. It's our way of saying thank you for your trust and confidence. And this warranty stays with the product for as long as it's on the floor.
Nice.
It's the same warranty that we give every single one of our clients that buy windows, that buy doors, that buy siding from us. They get this same exact warranty. We stand behind them equally as we do any other product. And again, it's our way of saying thank you for the trust and confidence. So this is, I'm fortunate enough to have helped these people out. This is Fiesta, Texas. So if you have any kids that have season passes or go out here, Fiesta, Texas, the president of the park saw an advertisement about Penntek. He's like, well, that's interesting, because obviously you know how many feet walk across their floors.
Mhm.
They've done stained concrete, they've done epoxy, they've done epoxy again, they've done epoxy again, and nothing would hold up. So the president saw this, he gave us a call, and I went out there to look at the bottom right-hand picture. That's the Wonder Woman World retail area. So he's like, man, I don't know, the product sounds a little too good to be true. But we're fed up with, constantly having to redo our flooring because it gets so bad because there's so many feet that are walking across it, from season to season. So he said, I'm going to have y'all do this area, and then we're going to go from there. There's going to be like a little, first date kind of thing. We're going to see how you guys do. And if it holds up like we hope, then we got a ton more area in this complex for y'all to take care of. So long story short, we did Wonder Woman World Retail. They were blown away by the quality of our installers, the craftsmanship, and many months later, they were blown away by the quality of the product. And we've been out there, I think we since have done pretty much every bathroom in the park. And we have probably another $180,000 worth of quotes for other areas that they've asked us to quote.
That's amazing.
So if it's good enough for someone like Fiesta, Texas, I'm assuming getting way more traffic than your garage or your back pool patio. It's probably good enough for a residential setting.
Sure.
And fortunately, there's many now. When we did this, we were the only game in town. But since then, there's a lot of other people doing flooring. They have not gone to shop or get quotes from anybody else.
Wow.
So that tells you the quality of the product and the quality that we provided them.
Sure.
Was something that they're happy sticking with. So all that being said, let me ask you, do you feel like this is truly the product that you'd want to install in your garage?
To be honest with you, Ryan, I was feeling pretty good about it before you even got here, but I am feeling 100% better now.
Well, that's not a bad thing for either one of us.
Yeah.
Well, good. I appreciate that you feel that strongly about it, and it's something we take very seriously. Is when people instill their trust and confidence in us, we do not want to disrupt that or distort that in any way. So I thank you that you feel that way.
Well, it's one thing to just talk about it, but to actually show it, and have proof that you guys walk the walk and don't just talk the talk means a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
So we're done pretty much. So now just the fun part, the easy part is just looking at some really cool before and afters. So you can see we were able to transform all that pitting and that cracking into, a much better situation. Obviously they put some sheetrock on the walls, they did some things, but.
Sure.
This looks like a dingy, standard concrete garage to now looks like it could be the inside of somebody's home.
Right.
Here's a shop, a commercial area that we did. Totally, look at it. It looks so like a nasty, looks like an old tooth with like bacteria and, tartar on it. And then you go over to this one, it looks like, it's light, it's airy. It looks like a whole different shop.
I was about to ask you, did you say old tooth? Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
old tooth.
Yeah. Has some beautiful veneers put on there.
That's right.
Yeah. I got you.
This is probably this was our first like true man cave project.
Ah, yeah.
So you can
Oh,
see he had some significant cracking right down the middle of the garage.
yeah. Wow.
But by the time it was all done, and this is a domino color with some hardly orange sprinkled in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the floor actually has some orange in it on top of the logo.
Wow.
Yeah, this is one of our showcase. And it was the
Nice.
first one we did. Since then, we've done Spurs logos and Cowboys logos, but this was the first that we'd done of this type. Pretty cool, huh?
It is. Yeah, I like that.
And again, it works on driveways, walkways. There's really no place you can't put this product down.
Boy, talk about add to curb appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So outdoor areas, no problem. With outdoor areas, we generally broadcast silica sand. Doesn't change the look or the sheen of the product, but it's necessary so people don't slip and fall. When there's potential moisture on this coating.
Right.
But look at that in the right picture. See that little bull nose that goes over to the grass?
Right, I see it.
Rounded edge.
How it's all covered evenly.
Yeah, we go around. We took the time to go around that coped edge down to the grass line so it looks finished.
That makes all the difference in the world to a complete project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend money on something, either way, it doesn't matter if you go with the cheap guy or the expensive guy, you're still spending thousands of dollars. Right. Wouldn't you want it at least done right by people that care about what they're doing?
Absolutely. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous, huh? And then this is another walkway we did. We actually did somebody's mud room, right inside their back door.
Wow.
This is above average mud room, obviously. But...
No kidding. Yeah, I've seen a lot of mud rooms, and yeah, that's definitely above average.
Not very muddy.
Yeah, not very muddy at all. That looks just as nice as some people's living rooms.
Yeah. So again, pool decks, I can speak to this personally. I have Coolcrete around my pool, and I can't stand it. It's been down there 3 years, and it's already starting to peel. And that's not a defect. That's just the expectation. I called the company. I was like, man, what's going on? The prior homeowners put it down, and it's, they did a beautiful job with the pool. But this cool deck, I have 2 dogs. There's continually dirt in all the little crevices of the Coolcrete.
It's called Cool. What?
Coolcrete.
Cool?
Actually, I think they spell it Kool and then Crete.
Okay. But basically, their answer is that's normal wear and tear.
That's normal wear and tear. Every 3 years, I got to get it resurfaced. I'm like, no, thank you. So yeah, I'll be putting Penntek back there for sure.
Yeah.
But it looks great around pool decks. Again, it's safe, it's easy, it stays clean, it's easy to clean. Another pool deck.
I've noticed, Ryan, that like, for example, in a garage, I've noticed some of the example pictures, they have it squared off. You can see those crevices purposely made where it looks squared off.
Yeah.
And like in squares, and there's others where it's just one big solid floor.
Yeah.
That's purposely done for the design?
No, that is it's called a control joint.
Right.
So it's purposefully done when the cement or the slab was poured, and it's so that the concrete can expand and contract.
Okay. So that was already there.
Yes. Yeah. So that's an important part to important thing to tell people. We don't just cover those cracks in because we cause more damage than we would.
Right. They're purposely set there for that expansion and contraction is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay. I got you.
And again, here, when this person had their walkway done, they would have typically had to have a mason out to come fix this. We were able to fix it nice and easy with that mender material.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, saved them hundreds and hundreds of dollars as opposed to having a concrete guy out to fix this. There's a big dance hall we did. That's an outdoor kitchen we did.
Wow. Man, that's a huge floor y'all covered there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So that's it. So let me ask you, Dwayne, like I promised you when we first started this, was this helpful? Does that give you a better understanding of the product and the process? Much more so than when we started this?
Absolutely, Ryan. Time well spent, my friend. Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Well, I'm very glad to hear it. So that's kind of how we wrap it up, because we told them it was going to really be a form of education, right?
Yes.
It's almost silly of us, we just become a talking head if we don't
Right.
follow up and say, hey, Dwayne, do you feel like you're more prepared to make a good decision now than than before we started this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's some buy-in, obviously, even just to call you out there. There has to be. But once you look at this, I think it answers a lot of questions and gives you a lot of confidence that not only are you dealing with the right product, but the right people to install it.
Yep.
I agree.
So now we're basically going from this, because we did commitment to trust, we did commitment to resolution. We're sliding right into commitment to value.
Value. Yeah. Yep.
So any questions,
Let me
anything
ask
at all
you.
while we're still recording?
No, not while we're still recording. No.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop that, and maybe, where are we?
No, I want to ask you, did you have any script there at all?
No,
Very impressive, Ryan. You've been doing this long enough, it shows.
I built the presentation, so I forgot to mention, so all these, so I
Yeah.
put these in here
Yeah.
as just like a reference.
Yeah.
So these aren't all our colors, because we have a couple now that are updated. But I put a blown up version of these when we were doing a lot of these virtually, like during Corona when it first came out and people didn't want us anywhere close to their home. So I put these big, where you actual samples where you can see the flake contrast, and
Right.
so they're all in here at the end of the presentation, so you can look at them.
Wow.
Oh, there it is.
I only have one thing I wish I would have done different. I unplugged my charger so I wouldn't have been sitting in that uncomfortable position. But no, that's impressive, Ryan. That is really impressive. I like that. And you